2023 is finally coming to an end. While this was a year for gaming unlike any that we ever had, there's so much to look forward to in 2024, now that I have gotten overwhelmed with expectations and anticipation. I mean, there's literally so much content being churned out, and within that meat grinder that is the gaming industry, there are a few projects that seem like they would truly bring forward some of the most impressive game designs we've ever seen. We got everything coming out in 2024, from Metal Gear Solid making a comeback to some of the most unique Souls-likes and phenomenal new IPs that will give us games for years. So without further ado, let's deep dive right into my list. Now I know what you're perhaps thinking, remastered? Been there, done that. Yes, Naughty Dog has been going through some shit that they've been aggressively remastering stuff. First with the Legacy of Thieves collection, then The Last of Us Part 1 remake, and now this. But this is a big one. Now this isn't just like a tuned touch-up, and it's actually more or less of a full-blown facelift. There's a lot of new stuff being added to the game. From the brand new no return mode, roguelite wave fighting mode, to the playable characters being added along with a huge amount of cosmetics. Not to mention this is a game that I fell in love with completely, so I mean in this case I do not mind to replay this game again. The First Descendant, well, perhaps is a bit weird. Now it has me intrigued in every way, and the fact that I've played through the beta, it got me a bit excited, and perhaps a little bit concerned as well. It's a weird game, kind of a mix of both Destiny and Warframe. And then top of all that, from the fantastic visuals courtesy of the Unreal Engine 5, I know one thing for a fact though. The run and gun shooting mixed with the creative level design has me pretty interested. And the game in itself has my attention. Although I must confess, I'm side-eyeing it a bit, especially with that Bonnie character. Let's just say she's got that Forsaken level of writing charm and very, very curvy personality. Pretty sure we're all done with Call of Duty after this new Modern Warfare campaign was a fucking dud. Sure, I hear the collective side at yet another Call of Duty release. Honestly, the main thing why I believe this upcoming Call of Duty more than any other is because it's being developed by Treyarch, and the fact that it's been in the longest development time of 4 years, since that is the first for its franchise. Longer development time could mean more than just another brain dead shoot them up, right? Well, hopefully. I've been a fan of Call of Duty since I was a kid, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested. I just hope it turns out to be good.
The only thing we know for sure is that time marches forward.
When I have seen this game for the first time, I genuinely was very curious and interested. But now after seeing the latest trailer, I have to admit that I'm not as piqued as I thought as I would, since seeing the gameplay really reminded me of Neo. Now I think that Neo formula is starting to get stale, and now that we have seen Neo 1, Neo 2, Wukong Fallen Dynasty, and on top of that other Souls-like types of games, I feel that it's getting oversaturated, like totally so. Now sure, some may say that since it's being developed by Team Ninja, we should expect something similar, but in my opinion, I was just expecting more. But nevertheless, I am intrigued, but I cannot say that I'm sold yet. After seeing this game for the first time, I was seriously hyped, until we found out how far away this game was from its release. 4+ years later, and is still being teased with incredible showpieces and gameplay of the game. And at one point, I genuinely started to feel tired of seeing it again and again, even though it was still years away from its launch. I just felt that we have seen so much and yet know so little, if you know what I mean. It genuinely got me annoyed for me to keep being somewhat interested and not knowing the release of this game. And so after additional few months, we now finally have the release date, and it's coming in August of 2024. I seriously hope it lives up to the expectations, since they are perhaps going through the roof at this point. It's impossible not to be excited for Metal Gear Solid to make a comeback. This is the remake of the potentially one of the most beloved games in the history. Metal Gear Solid 3 was most gamers' childhood, and this is our childhood making a return. I'm terrified and incredibly skeptical of what Konami is cooking, especially now that Hideo Kojima is not directing the game himself. In fact, he doesn't even have any ties in it. From the looks of the trailer that they have showcased recently, the visuals in the Delta trailer seems to be spectacularly well done. And just for the curiosity's sake, I think I'm sold. Not sure if they will be able to do the game justice now that they have switched the game engine to Unreal Engine 5, but if the gameplay loop is exactly or at least somewhat similar to the original, with just an updated visuals and animations, I think they'll have it nailed. After all, Kojima had pretty much perfected the stealth action espionage gameplay back in 2004, and I think that the soft evolution of that design philosophy would be great. Stellar Blade commanded my attention from the very first moment I laid my eyes on it years ago, when the original trailer came out. There was a radio silence from the developers Shift Up for quite a while after even the first trailer, though we might be nearing its release now, finally. And I'm sure it'll be making an appearance at the Sony's 2024's State of Play. This game seems to be taking a lot of inspiration from the Platinum Games Nier Automata, especially when it comes to flashy combat and the phenomenal cyberpunk vibes it's got going for. The cyberpunk vibes in particular are very strong with this one, from the use of the sword, heavy visual effects, grotesque monstrosities piled on top of it. The game looks as flashy as it looks, fast as hyper aggressive. I hope that the spectacles is grand just like Eve's ass. Of course, when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you have to understand that Square Enix took a decision to divide the original Final Fantasy VII game. And while they're usually a greedy corporation with no moral values whatsoever, I think that this decision made the quality of the Final Fantasy VII remake much higher. Now that we know that the quality of the game that they can produce, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is looking even more exciting. So the continuation of the Final Fantasy VII, what's more needs to be said? The hype is at as high as it can be with this game. The parts of the game that Rebirth will cover are exactly where things take flight, and some of the most crucial story points set pieces occur. And now that we're finally onto that part of the game, it's fair to say that we're in for a ride. I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VII, especially the remake, so I cannot wait. This project we know not so much about. It's just that returning to the RPG style that Ubisoft has agonizingly put into every single game of theirs. However, the Japanese setting in the sandbox Assassin's Creed game style is something I've wanted for years. And now that we finally got confirmed with the 2 playable characters, and there's a rumor that one of the characters is inspired from the story of the Yasuke, which is the massive win in my opinion. Moreover, it's a completely different type of setting, just like Origins was, so there's a lot of new things to see. I just hope that they manage to nail the story, because if the story is bad, like it was in Valhalla, well then we might have some issues. Thankfully, Ubisoft taking the right steps recently. Mirage was great, and I hope that this one manages to exceed my expectations. By your side, close your tired eyes now. Death Stranding 2 is easily my most anticipated game in 2024 right now. It's got not only one of my favorite game creators at the helm, but some of my favorite cast of characters in recent memory. There's so much mystery surrounding the Death Stranding 2, and the trailer has given us just enough to be excited about. This new world, new ship mechanics, some sort, a new enemy type, and connecting newer parts of the world to the global strand. Death Stranding is by far a most unique AAA game in recent years, and a sequel with Kojima's insane talent and incredible team would only make the game more loved. Keep in mind, Kojima evolves with each game, and the game he makes are revolutionary to say the least. So while I don't know much about the game, I know for a fact that Kojima's insanity and flair for the dramatic will take the center stage here. Alright, well those were my top picks for 2024. I do still want to give a quick shout out to some of the projects that we'll find out more within this year. Sadly, The Last of Us Factions game, well, it was cancelled, and while it's heartbreaking, I can't really fault Naughty Dog for wanting to jump ship off the live service games and focus more on the single player experiences, which is they're the best at. Pragmata seems like it could be an interesting game, well, unless we even know when it will be coming out. Capcom has been on a comeback story with each game that they release being a masterpiece, with the inevitable upcoming next Resident Evil game as well. Dragon's Dogma 2 genuinely looks interesting to me, even though I've never played the first one, so this could be a good opportunity to dive in. Dragon's Age Dreadwolf hopefully will be something special, but after recent releases from BioWare, I'm not expecting much, but I still have my eyes open. Phantom Blade Zero seriously impressed me. I just hope that it plays as well as it looked in the trailer. Concord being one of the first multiplayer titles from PlayStation has me intrigued, but yet also worried. I'm still curious though. Silent Hill 2 Remake could be something special, but we'll have to wait and see. Star Wars Outlaws actually has a good chance being one of the games that may leave a spotlight in 2024. For me though, I'm not yet sure what to think about it. I think I need to see more to summarize my thoughts. Then we also have Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, even though it is not a sequel unfortunately, but nevertheless knowing From Software's DLCs, this may in fact be a big separate game. I seriously cannot wait to get back into Elden Ring once again. Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out in 2025, and I'm more hyped for that than I am for anything else in my life most likely. It just doesn't fit this list though unfortunately, but I mean, come on, it's Grand Theft Auto 6. Finally, we have Arcane making a comeback to single player games with the brand new IP, Marvel's Blade, which is going to be third-person perspective, quite a new take for Arcane Studio to jump into. But I'm not holding my breath, since Deathloop disappointed me and Redfall, well, I think everybody already knows. So yeah, that was all. These are my most anticipated games of 2024, and some of the cases even beyond. Let's see what the year holds for us. I hope you guys all have a great year ahead. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video.